Hey everyone, this is Professor Almena here. Welcome to the launch of our hypothetical product line packaging project. And I'm really excited to roll this out now that we've sort of gotten acclimated with the class and did a couple of weeks of review, principles of design, packaging design elements, and value-based pricing. We basically have gone through sort of an extended onboarding process of how we do things in the class. And now we're going to finally launch the semester-long project, which is the Hypothetical Product Line Packaging Project. That's a long one. And we're gonna talk about it, okay? This is a brief overview of the project. This presentation is available online and you can review it in order to get a little bit more details, click onto the links, do deeper dives on any of the student projects that are shown, in addition to the phase 1 exercise, which will be shown in the next video for the following week. So let's just talk a little bit about this project and see what we're going to be embarking on for the next 14 weeks roughly. The objective for this project is we're going to design a hypothetical product line with packaging that generates brand loyalty. What does that mean? We're going to be designing packaging for a made-up product, and that packaging should have some type of brand identity that stimulates some type of loyalty or connection, okay? And that's kind of the essence of what packaging should do, as we've sort of briefly been seeing, right? Ultimately, I want the design to communicate emotion, give a experience, something that is memorable to the person handling it, so that they can ultimately return to continue that purchase. And at the same time, have it be a sustainable, hopefully, or reusable type of product with all the needs that are happening with the 21st century globally. So those are kind of the breakdown of the objective, but ultimately we're going to be designing a hypothetical product line that generates brand loyalty. Okay, the model that we'll be using, or the framework that we'll be using to approach this, is the famed Stanford design thinking methodology, which is broken down into 5 sections. So this is a well-known framework that is used in designing all things: systems, websites, governments, schools, and graphic designs as well. And so we're going to be looking at it from the lens of a graphic designer, and by that I'm saying that we're going to be doing things like understanding the person using it, the target audience. That's empathy. We're going to seek to understand them. We're going to define the roles and the personas related to that target audience and understand what the challenges are towards communicating this product. We will be creating ideas and generating divergent or convergent concepts related to your product brand, down to the product form, shape, and handling, and everything in between that. So we'll be ideating in that. This will lead to product prototypes or graphic design samples, mock-ups that we'll be creating. It'll be simple, but we'll be doing it relatively quickly in order to see how many different variations or directions we can go with it. And then we test our designs, and so that we can narrow it down to a top 2 or top 3, which leads to our final design. So the process looks different for different products that we create, or different things or systems, or whatever the thing you're designing. But for packaging, that's how we're going to look at it. Okay. If we zoom in a little bit more, they're going to be like, with all these stages, the specifically happening in this project, I really look at it as 3 different things we're going to be doing. We're going to be really doing research. We're going to be thinking up the strategy related to this package, and then building it, or execution. So if I had to filter it down to 3 things that you're going to walk away with in this class, know that this product or packaging will always come down to the research, to the strategy, and to the execution in any packaging that you create from here on in. When it comes to grading, we'll be grading according to process that we just talked about, followed by product, which is going to be the sort of the principles of packaging design. And so We'll zoom in on these things a little bit later, but just know that we'll be looking at some of these things in the next few exercises. So we'll be hitting these targets, but in the rubric, some of the major things we look at in the rubric are like defining the target audience, identifying the sources of information, design process, sketching, journaling, capturing your thinking along this term in your project, and presenting your final product. When it comes to the final product, we'll be looking at things like, oh, is this original, right? Does it not copy from something else? And does it have value? Does it actually like bring something into someone's life that is an improvement? Does it improve my life, right? And is the design effective? Does it meet the brand value? Does it have branding? Does it have form? Does it have elements and principles of packaging occurring within that, right? So these are the areas we'll be looking at specifically when it comes to grading. And process, the link for the presentation that goes into the deeper dives is also available. So feel free to click onto it. And if you want to know more specific areas, but we do provide that, and that looks at things like gathering in the information stages, packaging layers. These are sort of what this is sort of the roadmap in a way, and sort of zooms in specifically some of the stages. It looks different in different studios and in some classes, but ultimately we do the same thing. We just call it different stages. So this is more of a list for those that would like to see a list of how this project is going to unfold, for those that are more list oriented, okay? And in the discussion, you saw that there was a video, a 30-minute video that kind of looks at the grand picture of the entire packaging process from research down to launching the product. And I thought this video from a local designer here or design agency was really relevant. I thought it was useful. It's about a year old, so it's current and relevant information and approaches. And I think it's a useful way for us to approach it as designers here in Los Angeles, because they're a LA-based agency. So we're going to be zooming in on this particular agency, and we're going to be looking at that. And in the discussion, if you haven't done so already, take a look at the discussion question, and it'll lead you into a little bit more of a deeper dive and of taking into consideration some of the stages and what you remember from it. So this is kind of like a roadmap or a video. I love video that kind of shows what the whole process is going to look like. But I love student samples. And so we love to see some student work and just give you some ideas to inspire you and start thinking about some directions that you might want to go in your project. Okay, so in your project, you could create a new product from the ground up, or I can allow even the possibility of rebranding existing lines that are out there. For example, Eskimo Pie is a classic brand here in Los Angeles, but it is also a stereotypical and racist product line that has now been sort of red lighted in the wake of 2020 and all the social and civil unrest for good reason. Now, because we are now shifting as a society towards more equity, and we want to be equitable even in the things that we purchase. So consumers now are asking for more equity and more fairness and no stereotype whatsoever within consumer goods, and that is a really, really good thing, and we need to do that. So this project is basically if we took Eskimo Pie, remove the stereotypical Eskimo image, which is not an actual portrayal of an Eskimo, of course, and we changed the image to a Cosmo Pie or something that is more outer space or oriented. Okay, you still fulfill the need. It's still cold, but now we're going into a little bit more of an outer space theme, and that kind of trends a little bit to what's happening in the 21st century or early 21st century with engineering and the new golden age of engineering. Yeah, it makes sense. This engages a young audience and kind of makes it relevant for this younger age group. So you can do that. What if we created a new brand of drink, right? Whether it's a soft drink or alcoholic drink, it's totally fine. But what if you did that? You can explore that and create a lager or a soft drink or a natural drink or a healthy drink. These are all possibilities, and we can definitely go in that direction if you wish. Feel free to click onto all these links I'm showing you in the presentation so that you can see further the analysis. So drink is another consumer packaged good that you can go for or create. What if it was a biodegradable or sustainable package? What if we actually took a brand that is not known for sustainability and actually made it more sustainable? Or what if we created a completely new brand that was sustainable, that kind of goes against the companies that are not doing it and should be doing it, right? So Igloo is a good example. They recently did a rebrand, and they make the ice coolers, for those that don't know. Those coolers are always made of high-grade plastic, and they don't, they're not very biodegradable, right? In the life cycle of a product. So what they did was they created essentially a package that was biodegradable that could handle the heavy load of soft drinks. Very creative, a simple label, product around it. There's cup holders still, as you would in the other products, but this is a really interesting biodegradable or sustainable solution. Okay, this is an interesting one. In this student project, they repurposed a product or item that was not used anymore. So in music, of course, most music is now digital and in MP3 file formats or streaming with subscriptions. So we don't necessarily play cassette tapes anymore. It's more of a vintage item. But there's still products like cassette tapes from parents or from great-grandparents or grandparents that are still around. And so what if we actually repurposed an existing good and turned that into a package? Of course, still creating the logo and designing it from the ground up, but this package was repurposed for wireless or wired earphones for the cell phone, mobile phone music listener. And that was a great idea. So rather than play music, it holds the accessory to my music. That was a clever concept. We can also repurpose, create packaging for products that don't have packaging. So this student created or noticed that their barber shops typically would like to create their own line of packaged goods or a line of hair goods or hair products. And they never have packaging related to it. So this student said, oh, I can create packaging for those businesses that have hair products, but maybe they've never really had a successful designer package it or a designer period design packaging for them. So this student went with a classic barbershop look and created packaging associated with that. And that was an interesting approach. So perhaps you can do it in that direction. Okay. This is a food package, and this actually targets more of the small or homemade cereal lines. That, believe it or not, there are cereals that are out there that are made locally, kind of like the way you grow food locally. There are cereals that are made locally, and this particular designer went with his or her favorite brand of local cereal and created packaging associated with it, even targeting the state where it was created. And that was a very clever approach, right? Taking something that is very local, very central, very sort of, not mass per se, but more regional, and created packaging for that. That is definitely a thing that we could do as well. Okay. And then there's also food packaging. This is a fun one. In this package, for those that have ever had like public school or have ever been to a public school environment, public schools would give you ice cream from this in like a little cup and had a wooden spoon. And so that company that provided towards the public schools is called the Nice Company. And what they did is that they approached an agency and said, hey, could we make some more sustainable packaging? And while we're at it, can we make this packaging more fun? And since we now know that our customer are young people. And so this agency said, absolutely, we can actually even take your cup and actually make it into a sustainable material. And not only that, we can make the shape look very similar to the classic ice cream tubs of the 50s and the 1960s, while also creating a unique lettering system with the spoon shape and form. And so in the center of the graphic here, you see the word nice, or the ICE, or ICE, excuse me. And basically that if you were to look at it more closely, those organic shapes are very similar to the organic shape of the wooden spoon that you would see still today with this product or this ice cream. So that was a really cool, fun way to approach packaging in a redesign of an existing brand. This one is not hypothetical, but it's just to kind of show for relevancy how companies like the Coca-Cola company are currently moving in the direction of sustainability with their packaged goods. So this is just to kind of give you a little bit of a proof of concept that while they may not completely change their systems, they are creating prototypes of what could potentially be future packages that are sustainable. So we are moving in that direction, and we're starting to see corporations move in that direction. And in the future, we'll probably have a greater need for designers that are focused on more sustainability than anything else. So something to think about as you're approaching your project. Would you like to create something and have it be built in the lens of sustainability, or combining graphic with sustainability in a unique way? So these are the ideas. Okay. There's so many more examples, right? Does it have to be food? Not necessarily. It could be other things such as beauty, health. It could be animal food packaging if you wish to go in that direction. So there's so many different ways that we can approach this. We'll go case by case as we meet in class. But in terms of the stages, we're going to be creating or moving forward with the information gathering / design research portion of the project. So definitely take a look in the next video what those details are. And I look forward to working with us in this semester as we launch our hypothetical packaging project. Okay? All right, guys. We'll see you in class and start thinking about what you would like to create. We'll see you then.